name is Rhonda Hansome, and I am an American. It's just you and me. I love America. I wouldn't want to be an American in any other country. I love America. America is the only country where blacks, Asians, Indians, and Hispanics can all be authentically portrayed by white people.
So, I've been looking at every time you send an email or you're on, what do you call it? You're on Instagram, you always say you're the Nina Simone of comedy.
Wow, that sounds like a hashtag.
Okay, so what I want to know is, how do you identify with Nina Simone? How are you the Nina Simone of comedy?
She was a beautiful Black woman. That's the first way I identify with her. She was a soulful, sultry singer, and even though I am not in that echelon, I love to sing, and I do that every month with Groovin' on a Sunday. And she was fiercely political, and I got my foot in that pool too. And I felt her activism, her clarity about her political position was inspiring to me, so much so that I felt like I could exchange the hashtag I have been using for all these years from my mother, the statement from my mother, Rhonda Hansome is one funny Negro, which still remains to be true. But I feel the change in myself is reflected more in the hashtag of the Nina Simone of comedy.
Okay, so you took me to another place, which is the change. Okay, so when I met you and we filmed I Be Done Ben Was Is, there was one type of comedian that you were. Okay, and you have a list, and you can relay those of all the work you did in those 80s through 90s. Okay, and that's one Rhonda Hansome, the one I met. and I mean, you're the same as a person, but your material is very different. Do you think that you're redefining your career at this point?
Well, redefining my career is kind of an interesting point to bring up during a pandemic, Deborah. But we all are. We all are. But my life has changed. My life has evolved, and so has my perception and my observations. And I feel like in the industry, show business, entertainment, many of us are compelled to reinvent ourselves periodically or just fall behind. If you become stagnant, sometimes being a fossil can be helpful for you, can identify you. But for many of us, becoming stagnant, it can be death. And I love the interesting change in my perception, in my life, and how it has affected my comedy. Yeah, so now, yes, I'm doing a political podcast. I'm doing political cartoons with Scott Williams, an incredible illustrator. And I do John Fugelsang's show every Monday night on Sirius XM, which it basically looks at whatever's been happening politically in the week. And I like that. I like the personal change in me. And I figure I'm going to express it. when I had an act more focused on my marriage and my child, and having a new baby, I was in a different place personally. And now, I've been divorced. My child is a grown man, and my political attitude has shifted. So I think, short answer, yes, there's been a change.
Okay. Um, Now, within that, this is what when I really think of Nina Simone. Okay, you were doing this act, this comedy act for a while, uh, punchlines and things, and then you're away for 10 years, and you come back, and just the shifts you just described. But also, the same thing happened to Nina Simone. She was performing for a long time. Then she was away for a good little while. And then she comes back. And she comes back and in a very difficult way, though. But I'm looking at what we're doing now. You're doing a load of virtual programming. And I also wanted to know, is this more of an extension of what you were doing pre-pandemic, or has this just opened up many more avenues?
I love that the avenues are opened up. I did a show last month that was based in India. There were people in Africa, India, different places in America on the same show. The first, and I feel a little shy, like I'm revealing something by telling you this. The first person, the absolutely first person who asked me to do a virtual show, I said, "Oh no," because it was so new to me and I was frightened. And after he said okay, and I saw he was doing shows with everybody but me, I said, "Oh my God, what am I going to do? All the comedy clubs are closed, and I might as well get on in the Zoom room." So I love it. I love it. I can be, as I said, with people from around the world, and express my opinion. And because I'm at whatever stage this is in my career, I don't have management. I don't even have an agent. Um, I'm I don't have somebody else um, censoring me or making suggestions about what I'm doing. So I'm doing what feels good to me. I'm singing, I'm storytelling, I'm podcasting, and I may be starting up a new comedy duo think tank next in 2021. So for me, it's an exciting time. It's a very rich, full time that feels like a renaissance to me.
Okay, you mentioned that you don't have management now. Do you think but you're doing much more?
I'm doing a lot.
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot, and I am feeling fulfilled by it. When I had people, um, it wasn't that I was doing so much, but uh, the venues and the people I performed with, the venues where I performed were spectacular. Radio City Music Hall. My agents had me on television almost on a monthly basis. I played the amphitheaters across the country. I played the Radio City Music Hall in New York and the Radio City Music Hall across the country in every state that I toured with Anita Baker. Um, it's different. I'm doing a lot, and I'm pretty much doing things that I'm interested in, and I don't feel constricted. And I miss the financial opportunities that were there with having management and an agent and people, putting me in certain positions. But considering COVID, a lot of those venues are gone or either been closed and will be closed for at least another half year. So I'm in a good place. I'm in a very happy creative place as an artist.
You mentioned the financial part. Do you get paid doing this? Or as sometimes, I know all of them pretty well.
Oh, you anybody want to send to my PayPal? It's paypal.me/capital R capital HANSOME. Okay. That's how I get paid. PayPal me.
Okay.
I'm on Venmo too.
But the thing is, you're building something that you have control over. So I think it will turn into revenue at some point.
Well, it may or it may not. You know, that's that's not something that, you know, I can predict. What I know is that I'm enjoying the expression. I'm enjoying the various opportunities. I'm having a good time.
Okay. Now the censorship. The censorship. This came up in an interview that I saw on Tea Time with you, where you talked about uh, at one time you were working a lot in the Catskills, but you had to censor yourself. What was the audience there?
Well, the Catskills are pretty much an enclave of people of Jewish culture and religion and or culture, and they had big resorts like the Granite, the Concord, and the Villa Roma, I guess, has a little more of an Italian feel to it. But they also had bungalow colonies, uh, and um, and every bungalow colony had their own entertainment center. So my people, my management, that was the circuit that they populated with their talent. And I did very well there when I talked about being married to a Jewish guy. That was my act at the time. And even while I was doing that, other things that came in to my consciousness that I thought I might like to joke about were not really for them. This is an audience who felt like if Joan Rivers said damn once or fuck once, that they had to walk out. They you know, and actually it was a badge of honor among people who frequented the Catskills on a regular basis, who they could say they walked out on. And I began to feel that tension that not only was in my marriage, but that tension in talking about my marriage, my personal feelings on stage, those things that I felt would offend the audience. And at that point, I have to respond to the person who booked me. You know, well, you know, what did you say? Why did you say that? You know, don't you know they think anything, you know, that isn't squeaky clean is blue. And that became too much pressure for me. It really became stifling.
Interesting. Now you just said you performed in India. Any censorship?
No, well, no, because it was via Zoom. The booker, the MC was in Zoom, and I think two of the other comedians were in India. But we were on you know, a digital. It was a digital performance, and I felt free and easy and said what I wanted to do, and I loved the reaction of people who are in other countries, you know, to my material.
So is it being in person that the censorship or the delivery of material is different than on Zoom because uh, that is the difference. You were in a live room, but now you're on Zoom, and what is the difference that people may not take offense of?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know because it was in the past. I actually did a live performance this week, which was so exciting in an actual comedy club. It was all COVID protocols. There were if there were 10 people in all in the room, including the camera person and and the person who comes in to wipe down the mic, that would have been a lot of people there. It was everyone was masked. And I got to tell you something, Deborah, holding that microphone and being in front of a live audience was it was intoxicating. It helped that I had a fabulous set and that they really were with me. But it, whether it's a live performance or a Zoom performance, right now I'm personally in a place where it's just important for me to test out my what's on my mind. Like one of the lines I did was, I don't know if Russia actually hacked into our major government agencies, but the last time I went to sign up for unemployment, I was offered a job in Siberia. And the thing about the thing about it is that that's what was on my mind, and the fact that a Russian spy was poisoned by the element being sprinkled in his underpants. I mean, to me, that is just so wild. It's absolutely wild. So what I love is whether there are people live in front of me or people viewing me in the comfort of their own home, either in real time or on replay. That what I love is that I'm doing my thing, and the internet gives opportunity to so many people. I'm not for everybody. I know I'm not for everybody. And uh, if there are enough people who hear what I have to say and it resonates for them, it makes them laugh, it makes them think, those are the people I want with me.
Okay. Well, I think you perfectly have described um, the internet, really. That's it. That's all the niche programming the situation there is. Now, I want to go back to the politics, and you're working on a book with the political cartoons. Can you say the name? Because I don't want to get it wrong.
Politunatics.
Politunatics.
Politunatics is our page on Facebook, and I expect to see Scott this week. We're going to take a picture for our Facebook page so you can see the both of us together. Right now, all you can see are our cartoons, which I urge people to go and like the page and also share your favorite cartoon because there's a variety of them there, and we keep churning them out. Politunatics is very exciting to me, and I just happen to have one of them handy here. It is a representation of an idea connected with justice and Black lives. But
amen.
I'm very excited about it. I'm going through a change in my life that I'm actually in the midst of writing up a presentation for a television show. Robin Lane, an actress director, she has a television show called Badass Women 50 Plus, and she She asked me to write something, and I'm writing about and going through my political change of moving from being a child born coming of age between integration and Black power, and living the integration direction, and coming to a different point in my life right now where I understand that my personal understanding of integration is that it is an empty promise. And I know it is because I dedicated my life to it.
Expand
And
with me of the empty promise and living your life.
I'm sorry.
I said, expand on that a little bit more, the empty promise and living your life.
Yeah, I was part of the National Conference of Christians and Jews. I was actually the director of their youth drama program. I would participate in urban suburban exchanges to where people from the city would go to Long Island and do activities with whites out there so that they could see we were real human beings. And I was part of I was part of an organization that would go to different meetings and seminars and clubs to talk about, I'm a Black person and I'm real and I'm a Catholic and I'm a good, you don't have to be prejudiced against me. And I finally have come to understand that it's not up to me or up to Black people to convince white people not to be racist. They, and it's almost an impossibility because white people benefit from racism every single day, 24/7. So me trying to convince them not to be racist is kind of a futile activity. And and I remember so vividly my consternation around Black power. I thought it was assertive, it was aggressive, it was demanding. And now I understand that anything less is seen as acquiescence. That's just me.
That is a great point. I don't think I've ever heard anyone put it that way. And I agree. I agree, number one, but I've never heard anyone put it in that context. At least I don't think I have.
Well, that's the kind of woman I am.
Yeah.
And it's taken quite a while for me to get there, Deborah. So much so that this year I changed my voter registration from Democrat to independent because I did not want to feel tethered, obligated, and or owing either of those two sides of the same coin anymore. I just felt like that was a clear and obvious demarcation for me that I have moved into a different part of my understanding of my life.
So now, oh, this is great. So
Oh, I'm glad you think so.
well, I'm thinking we've started talking about your career. Now we're talking about you're living the ideals of the material.
It's kind of beautiful. It's a beautiful feeling. Yes. At least trying to live the ideals of the material, trying to be part of it. Yes. Yes.
So my next question is, does the title comedian, is that really take in all that you are and all that you do now?
Well, not really, but it does describe some of what we do. I had mentioned on another interview how much I admire Cat Williams, and people who have known me for a decade or more were surprised to hear that. And I felt like when I hear Cat Williams, I hear very pointed social commentary.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a comedian. Dave Chappelle makes very pointed social commentary. He's a comedian. And so, with what I'm doing, there is a part of me that is the court gesture, speaking truth to power, being being in the material.
See, now you just brought up two people that I admire, and it's interesting. We're all from the same area, okay? Because I grew up in Dayton, Ohio. So did Cat Williams, and Chappelle is 35 miles away, okay? And I would tell people, I said, well, this is how we talk any old way. They just happen to be, they made it into a career. I said, but generally that's, the Midwestern talk. But even for them, I would lump you in with them that there needs to be more definition to the career than comedian, because it has evolved into other things that take in, it's broader. I'm just looking for a broader way of referring to you. And I was thinking Chappelle when you said that, because he's out there having shows in the cornfield, literally. Okay. And they're not, he's really hasn't been the punchline guy in many moons, but it's about something else. And so thank you for bringing them up. And my mind, I keep going around how to broaden this definition, because this whole conversation has, is gone in a direction that took me away from the regular, tell me about your career. What are you doing now? Because you do that a lot, and that's great. And you always tell what you're doing now, because you do need an audience, but this is more. So thank you.
It's funny that you say that, because I like the idea Renaissance woman, but the what I do has expanded so much, but it's all essentially right here in my bedroom. It's this dichotomy that is so fascinating and kind of exciting, because every time I get on Zoom or do a show or do an interview, to me it's incredibly invigorating and exciting.
Okay.
I never know what part of me is going to be expressed. I mean, I remember growing up and being so upset that I wasn't part of the choir at my Catholic church. The choir is a big part of Black culture, but because I was in that Catholic lane, I didn't have the background of the hymns, nor the gospel feeling that would come from being embedded in a really Black church. And now, even though I don't really sing religious songs, I'm very excited that I have the opportunity to actually sing with Groovin' on a Sunday, on a regular basis. I mean, I do spoken word, I do the acting and writing in the podcast. I mean, I have my own segment on Politipod, the podcast called The Real News, in which the anchor, is a highly emotional person who can't always keep herself from exploding with an expletive or shock or dismay with whatever it is that she's dealing with in the news. And I love that. I have that freedom, that opportunity.
Hmm.
I mean, because some of the stuff we're dealing with in the news is just crazy.
Yeah, and how could
Crazy. And the anchors just say, and yes, and this is what happened today. And you're going, but that was crazy.
I have another question about the political cartoons. Now, you all are doing them on Facebook. Do you intend to do them in any other media as well?
I hope so. We're trying to get a collection together. I don't know how best we could advertise and monetize these political cartoons, but first we're just trying to get our collection together. And I would love to have a book of them that both Scott and myself could benefit from it being out to a wide audience. Yes.
You mean a book in hand, print?
Either a book in hand or one that is that you can download or rent. However, by the time we're able to do it, I don't know what kind of platforms there are going to be, but I would like to be able to use the cartoons, as I said, to monetize our situation and to keep our political ideas out there. Yeah.
Okay. Now, how do you provide a context for, how do you provide a context for political cartoons after the moment has passed? Because I look back at some civil rights political cartoons, and even though I know why it was funny, or they weren't just funny, you know, they really, just like the one you showed, they rang a bell. And but then I'm like, okay, but people of a certain age, millennials or whatnot, unless they are educated in history and really have those intergenerational connections where things are being talked about, if they go back and look at it, a lot of that's lost. They don't understand. So
You're right. You are absolutely right. But there's also the point of those cartoons being for a niche audience and also as a documentation of the thoughts at the time, the thought process at the time. So I don't disagree with you, but I do see it being for a niche audience because Adamola Olugbofola, who was my scene designer on some of the projects that I've directed for Woody King Jr., was major in the Black arts movement. So whenever anyone looks back to that time, they're always going to include some of his work, you know, because he was part of the Black arts movement, along with Amiri Baraka and so many other incredible artists, including, you know, Barbara Ann Teer in the theater and, you know, all of those things. So yes, maybe some of the young people today, I mean, some of the young people in 10 years might not be able to relate to Daniel Cameron and his shenanigans with the Breonna Taylor his investigation, but those people who know what went on will appreciate seeing the commentary as documentation of the time. The same way Marsha Warfield in your documentary IV Done Been was is different now than she was when you first did that. I mean, so and whenever people see her picture from Night Court, they get all excited, you know, and they send her stuff on social media, and as she is reinventing herself as we speak. So I'm not concerned that somebody won't find it interesting, either what I'm doing with the political cartoons from either a historical point or from actually having lived through that time. I feel like there will be appreciation for it.
Okay. Okay. Great answer. Great answer. Now, my last thing to discuss is, because this is how we came back in contact with each other. How did that Tribeca show come about?
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad that you were at that Tribeca Performing Arts Center show, Deborah. That, and it was so exciting reconnecting with you and seeing your beautiful face, uh, and and being in that auditorium. I love being in large. I love performing, large or small stage, but that was a great stage, and we had an appreciative audience. Uh, Mario, the one of the artistic directors over at TPAC, had I had auditioned for him to be part of their Writers in Performance laboratory, and he knew that I was a comedian. I had performed as a comedian for him before, and he asked me if I would like to do my own show, and I was ecstatic. I was very happy about that, and I thought doing my own show at the Tribeca Performing Arts Center would have been part of releasing my own album, "Lie Baby Lie," of my true stories of sex, murder, and gentrification. But COVID interfered with that. COVID also interfered with the number of people who showed up at Tribeca Performing Arts Center, even though it was well attended. It was well attended. The audience was appreciative, and I was trying to elbow bump people because it was the first week of March and the first real serious talk of COVID. And Mario asked me to do that show, and I asked people who I admire their work and appreciate, their sense of humor. And so I curated the acts, and 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 TPAC was just fabulous. I mean, whatever we needed, they gave us, all the technical help and administrative help and the promotional. And I have to say, 2020 was not a total loss, because that was a tremendous success for me, and at least something for me and some of the other women, the women comics, to hold on to as we got into this very dark time that was cloaked in COVID.
Okay, well, thank you. That was a great show. I'm just now telling friends and whatnot that I went to New York. Literally, I left the day before New York shut down, because I was like, I'm not going to mention this thing, but
That was very close to the vest. It was very close to the vest. And I've got to tell you, the next week was St. Patrick's Day, and I was having brunch with a friend. And I'm in this restaurant where the bar is teeming, the dining room is full. And suddenly I said, what the hell am I doing here? Nobody was in masks. It was like a regular brunch, Sunday brunch. And that was the last time that I was out without a mask, and I put myself in lockdown.
Yeah. So here we are, all lockdown. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Rhonda. This was rich.
Thank you. Oh, you're fantastic. I can't tell you how wonderful it is to reconnect with you and the work that you do. And any way I can help, I'm happy to do that. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Boomers. Somebody tried to insult me by saying, "Okay, boomer." After you've been called a nigga, boomer has no sting. John Fugelsang show every Monday on Sirius XM Progress, and it's a political talk show. And I'm a new contributor to Politipod. It is a fun political podcast. And sometimes I get very passionate about politics. And one of my friends said, "You should run for office." No. I should not run for office with my checkered history and questionable background. I'd have to run as a Republican.